Good evening, y'all. It's Friday, July 3rd. It might be the 4th of July for some of y'all, wherever you might be listening from. Whether you're listening from the state of Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky, wherever you're listening from, welcome back to another edition of the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. I'm your host, Deshaun. Now, yes, this is the same old podcast. No longer will it be called All Cats Everything and Then Some. Now it's just the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. Now, I don't know if you've noticed on my Anchor profile or on my YouTube profile, I got a new logo for my podcast as well. Shout out and credit goes to Darius Lightfoot, aka the Toon God. Y'all should look him up on Instagram. He's really good at what he does. He's artistic. He created my logo. He knows how to design things. He's a photographer. He raps. He shoots his own music videos. He's a all-around talented guy. If you need anything, hit up Darius. He'll hook you up, just like he hooked me up with my logo. Anyways, y'all, Wildcats and Then Some, podcast number 26, I believe. Yeah, I know it's been a month since I last recorded. My regular job's been kicking my ass, if I'm gonna be honest here. So yeah, all this overtime, just ain't had time to record, but I promise I'll be more frequent with my podcasts. Hope y'all enjoy. How y'all doing? Like I said, this is now the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. The other day I realized that I've been doing this for almost a year. I started recording podcasts around this time last year, and then I started posting on YouTube in August of last year. Now, of course, my goal remains the same. I do want to become a big-time sports media personality. I want everybody to know my name. I want people to think of me when they think of Kentucky Wildcat sports. I do want to get paid bukus of money to do this. And I'm not going to stop until I reach my goal. And then I'm going to keep shooting for bigger and better things. Yeah, I gotta say I'm happy for myself because I've set goals for myself in years past and I didn't follow through with them for whatever reason. I was too lazy. I didn't believe in myself or whatever it might have been. But I gotta say I'm proud of myself for keeping this going for almost a year, and I'm gonna keep pushing forward. So here we go. Now, I don't have a lot of new news in the world of Kentucky sports. Olivier Sarr, he's still waiting on eligibility. I don't know what's going to happen. From what I'm hearing, he may get granted immediate eligibility. Now, I don't see why he wouldn't be granted immediate eligibility. His coach convinced him to come back to Wake Forest because he didn't think he was ready for the NBA. So Olivier was like, all right, coach, I'll come back. And then Wake Forest fired Danny Manning, and they brought in a new coach. I think because of the coaching change, Olivier Sarr should be allowed to play right away. It's, of course, ultimately it's up to the NCAA, but other traditional other traditional transfers have been granted immediate eligibility. Johnny Juzang, who was at Kentucky this past season, he transferred to UCLA to be closer to his house, and he gets to play right away. DJ Carton, who played for Ohio State last year, he transferred to Marquette. He gets to play right away. Jamal Baker, who played for Kentucky during the 18-19 season, transferred to Arizona during the offseason, and he got to play right away. So hopefully the NCAA will let Sarr play. And if not, I really don't understand why they wouldn't. I guess to stick it to Kentucky, but I don't know. He should play right away. I hope so. We need Olivier Sarr because we don't have any experienced front court players. Yes, we've got a lot of talent. We've got a talented grad student transfer at the point guard position in Davion Mintz. We've got 2 top 10 recruits in BJ Boston and Terrence Clark, both of whom I think are going to be great players, both of whom I think will get drafted in the lottery in the 2021 draft. But we need Olivier Sarr. He was all ACC third team last year. Some of his best games were against the ACC's stiffest competition, like Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, Notre Dame, etc. So we definitely need him, because if not, we're going to have to rely a lot on Isaiah Jackson. He's going to have to grow up real quick, as well as Lance Ware. Now, I'm not saying I don't trust Lance Ware and Isaiah Jackson, but we don't have enough experience. I mean, the talent is going to be there. We just lacking in experience, you know? I mean, you got to have both in order to contend for a championship. You're not going to win a championship if you got a team full of juniors and seniors who aren't even good enough to play basketball in Europe professionally. And you're not going to win a championship if your team is full of talented NBA players, but they're all freshmen. Which, I mean, that's been the reality for Kentucky these past few years. We've had a lot of talent, but haven't had enough experience to win a championship. Now, if Sarr is eligible to play right away, I think Kentucky is a Final Four team, maybe even a championship team. But without Sarr, I mean, I think we'll definitely be in the tournament, but I just don't know how far we'll get without having that valuable experience, especially in the front court. Now, I wasn't expecting E.J. Montgomery to leave. I was expecting him to come back and be our starting center, but he decided to go. Which, I mean, I ain't mad at him, but I just don't know if he's even going to get drafted. Like, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not trying to knock the kid, but what is he good at? You know? The way I see it, if you have one or two skills that really stand out, an NBA team is going to take a chance on you. But what does he have that stands out other than athleticism? Yeah, he may have upside, but upside is not enough. So what does he bring to the table? I mean, Ashton Hagans, I have a good feeling he'll get drafted. He's a great defender, as well as a pretty good playmaker when he's not turning the ball over. Tyrese Maxey's a good scorer. Emmanuel Quickley is a great shooter. Nick Richards, he's a great defender, can consistently score in the post, a good free throw shooting big man. All four of them, they're going to get drafted. But I'm just not certain on EJ. In other Kentucky news, Terry Wilson is 100% healthy. If we have college sports in the fall, I mean, Kentucky will have our quarterback. Terry Wilson, I believe, will help us win 9, maybe 10 games. We'll get to a good bowl game. It'll be great. You know, Kentucky football finally is competitive. I mean, we finally are good in other sports besides basketball. Thanks to Mark Stoops, Terry Wilson, all kinds of other players who have came through this Kentucky program under Stoops, like Zadarius Smith, Bud Dupree, Lynn Bowden Jr. Yeah, Kentucky is trending up in football. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the championship or anything like that, but as long as we keep Mark Stoops, as long as we keep bringing in these good recruits, I think Kentucky will contend. Kentucky will win 9 to 10 games every year. Anyways, some more news. I don't know if y'all have heard already, which I'm pretty sure you have, but anyways, Makur Maker, 5-star player for the class of 2020, he committed to Howard University. What's the big deal? Howard University. Well, Howard University is a historically black college, and players like Makur Maker, who are 5-star players, top 25 in the country, they usually don't go to HBCUs. They usually go to the big schools like Kentucky, Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, etc. This is huge for Howard University as well as for other HBCUs. Now, if Makur Maker can have some success at Howard, maybe this will start a trend. You know, I would love to see more 5-star players go into these smaller schools so they can get some name brand recognition. I mean, especially the all-black schools like Howard University or Hampton, Alabama State, Grambling State, Southern University, so on and so on. This is great. I hope Makur Maker puts Howard on the map. Hopefully other 5-star recruits will start to follow his lead, especially in football, because, man, if these black colleges can get these 5-star players to come play for them, y'all gonna have to watch out for them. Yeah, Makur Maker, do your thing, dude. I hope you succeed. Hope you do great things at Howard, and I hope you go on to be a great NBA player. Now, I want to give a shout out to the Undertaker. Now, I don't know if y'all knew this, but I'm a wrestling fan. Well, actually, I used to be a wrestling fan. I don't really watch wrestling anymore like I used to, but when I heard that the Undertaker was retiring from the WWE after being in that business for 30 years, I said to myself, I got to give a shout out to the Undertaker on my next podcast. Undertaker, he was one of my first favorite wrestlers. My first taste of wrestling was 1998, WrestleMania 14. I still remember it like it was yesterday. In 98, I was 8 going on 9. I went to my uncle's house to watch WrestleMania. That was my first time ever watching wrestling. And from then on out, I was hooked. It was just, the whole pay-per-view was great. I still remember it like it was yesterday. Stone Cold defeated Shawn Michaels to win the WWE Championship. Triple H defeated Owen Hart. I believe he won the European Championship, or he retained it. I can't remember for sure, but I know he beat Owen Hart with the help of China. Rest in peace to China. Undertaker beat Kane. Now, that match really stood out to me because I was always, growing up, yes, I liked Stone Cold. I liked The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, but I was really into those giant wrestlers, you know. When I say giant, I mean like guys who are 6'10" and taller, guys that weigh 300 plus pounds. Kane and Undertaker, I mean, not only did they have an interesting backstory, like they were just great wrestlers. Here you have Undertaker, who was Kane's older brother. When they were kids, their parents owned a funeral home, and Undertaker, he was a pyromaniac, and his little ass burned down their funeral home. It was believed that Kane was dead, but Kane wasn't dead. However, he did get burned, and he was emotionally scarred, and for that's why he hated the Undertaker. Like, I'm just watching that mask, I see Undertaker, he's dressed in all black, got these tattoos going down both of his arms. Then you have Kane, he's got this black and red mask on and this black and red suit. I'm just thinking, little 9-year-old me was saying, man, these dudes are big and they're scary. But that was one hell of a match. I mean, a lot of back and forth action, great storytelling by both of them. I believe Kane hit the tombstone piledriver on Undertaker, but Undertaker was able to kick out. Undertaker hit Kane with the tombstone and ended up winning that match. And that was, I'm telling you, back in the day, wrestling was must-see TV. Like, after watching WrestleMania, I was like, man, I gotta start watching this, because, you know, I didn't want to be that kid who comes into school the next morning on Tuesday and not knowing what the heck's going on, because a lot of my friends, they used to talk about wrestling and Monday Night Raw, and I had no idea what they were talking about because I didn't watch wrestling. But yeah, after watching WrestleMania 14, I was hooked. Undertaker, he had a great career. My personal opinion, Undertaker is one of the 10 greatest wrestlers of all time. He had the mass appeal. He had a great gimmick. He was an excellent heel, an excellent anti-hero, a good face. He's got the longevity. I mean, 30 years in the WWE, that's a long-ass time. And he also has the accomplishments. I mean, I believe he went 17-0 at WrestleMania before he finally lost. I think overall he had 2 losses at WrestleMania. I don't know. He was I believe a 6-time WWE heavyweight champion. Again, 30 years. He had the iconic finishing moves, the tombstone piledriver, the last ride. I mean, Undertaker, when you talk about the 10 greatest wrestlers of all time, you gotta include Undertaker. Now, my personal opinion, the greatest wrestler of all time is Shawn Michaels. HBK, Mr. WrestleMania, the showstopper, whatever you want to call him. When it comes to wrestling, HBK is the GOAT of wrestling. Now, the rest of the top 10, you can put it in any order you want. But Shawn Michaels is number 1. And then I would go Bret Hart, Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Sting, who's my personal favorite wrestler of all time, Eddie Guerrero, Undertaker, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Kurt Angle. Or no, take that back. I mean, I love Kurt, but not Kurt Angle. Number 10, well, not number 10, but to finish the top 10, Ric Flair. Like I said, number 1 is Shawn Michaels, and however you want to put the rest of that top 10, those to me are the 10 greatest wrestlers in history, whether we're talking WCW, WWE, whatever it might be. Now, if y'all want, on a future podcast, I can go more in depth into my top 10. But like I said, Shawn Michaels is number 1, and the rest of the top 10, in no particular order, is Bret the Hitman Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Sting, Eddie Guerrero, Undertaker, Ric Flair. Damn it, I done forgot who else I said in my top 10. But yeah, seriously, if y'all want me to go more in depth, I will do that. Now, I ain't got much else left to say, so I'm going to devote the rest of this podcast to Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Daniel Shaver, anybody else who lost their lives at the hands of police brutality. Now, I'm just going to go and tell y'all, I support the Black Lives Matter movement. If that bothers you, well, I would suggest you not subscribe. I would suggest that you just stop listening and don't listen to any more of my videos. Because until police are held more accountable for their actions, until police brutality stops, I'm going to continue to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Because what happened to Breonna Taylor or George Floyd, it could happen to me. It could happen to anyone in my family. It could happen to, hell, anybody. And I don't want that to happen to anyone. Whether you're black, white, Hispanic, nobody should be gunned down by the police. It shouldn't happen. I mean, police are supposed to protect and serve. They're not supposed to be judge, jury, and executioner. Now, to all the good cops out there, the ones who don't abuse their power, the ones who don't let that badge and gun go to their head, I have nothing but respect for y'all. But to the bad cops, y'all can kick rocks. Now, again, if me supporting the Black Lives Matter movement bothers you, then I would suggest you unsubscribe. Now, I don't know why it would bother anybody, but I mean, we all got different opinions. I understand that. But what annoys me the most is people who, whenever I or anybody says Black Lives Matter, first thing people say, oh, all lives matter. Why is it only black lives? All right. First of all, Black Lives Matter does not mean only Black Lives Matter. Like, you're an adult, for fuck's sake. You should understand that saying Black Lives Matter does not mean only Black Lives Matter. I shouldn't have to explain this, but some of y'all just act stupid. So I'm going to explain this to you as if you were a fucking 6-year-old so you can understand. Excuse my language. I mean, I try not to use profanity on my podcast, but I'm just tired. I'm just annoyed by all these people who think Black Lives Matter is just some anti-US movement, like it's bad when it's not. All right. Here's the easiest, most simplest way I can explain Black Lives Matter. Let's say you're a parent. You got 3 kids. You have 2 boys and a girl. They're all elementary school age. All right, so you take your kids to the playground. Your daughter, she's playing on the swing set. She jumps off the swing. She scrapes her knee. And as you're going towards your daughter to tend to her wound, your son falls off the slide. He breaks his arm. So you stop what you're doing, you turn around and go to your son who's got a broken arm. And a parent looks at you and says, oh, Aren't you going to help your daughter? I mean, is her health not important? What about your other son? All your kids matter. Now, if a parent were to say that to you, you don't look at them like they stupid. Yes, all your kids are important, but it's your son who needs your help the most because his damn arm is broken. Little Susie, who has a scraped knee, she'll be okay for a few minutes. Like, you gotta help little Jimmy out over here who got a broken arm. A broken arm is a little bit more serious than a scraped knee that you can put some Benadryl on and a Band-Aid. Like, you need to help him out. I mean, it's not that you don't think little Susie's important. It's just she doesn't need your immediate attention. It's the same thing with Black Lives Matter. Yes, I'm not saying white people don't get killed by the police. I'm not saying Hispanic people don't get killed by the police, but it happens to black people more often than it does anybody else. And that's why we say Black Lives Matter. That's why we ask that Americans lend their support to the black community so we can stop this police brutality and it'll be beneficial to everyone. I mean, we ain't just doing this to help black people out. I mean, you put it into police brutality, it'll save everybody. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever you might be. But for some reason, people think Black Lives Matter is a problem. But yet, y'all say Blue Lives Matter. That ain't a problem to y'all. I mean, police don't have blue skin. It's their damn job. They chose to do it. I'm not saying they're not important, but I didn't choose to be black. I was just blessed to be black. I mean, it ain't always easy, but I wouldn't trade my skin for nothing. And police officers, yeah, they can go home and take off their uniform, but I can't take my skin off and be different. But yeah, again, Black Lives Matter is a problem. Don't know why, but it's just annoying. I mean, especially when people also say all lives matter. The annoying thing is this. I mean, yes, all lives really do matter, but everybody who says that shit is only saying it to oppose Black Lives Matter. Yes, all lives do matter, but if you're only saying all lives matter to oppose Black Lives Matter, then you don't care. You just faking the funk. You really don't mean that shit that you say. I mean, if I offend you, too bad. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, hopefully you'll change your mind. Hopefully you'll change your thought process. Hopefully you'll have a change of heart. Hopefully you'll care about somebody other than your damn self. Because whenever I hear people say all lives matter, I mean, it's just like, I don't believe it when people say that stuff. Because, I mean, if you truly believe all lives matter, then wear your damn mask. Like, all I see is people complaining about, oh, I don't want to wear a mask. I can't breathe in this thing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to wear a mask either, but it's for my protection as well as everybody else. I mean, I could have the coronavirus and not know it. So by me wearing a mask, I can prevent it from being spread to other people. You know, some people actually do care about others. Some people just care about themselves, but that ain't me. I mean, I don't want to wear a mask, but I do it anyway because I don't want nobody to get sick. People say all lives matter, but yet they don't support the LGBTQ community because it goes against their religion. Now, yeah, I'm not gay myself, and yes, I am a Christian, but I have no problem with gay people. I mean, I support gay rights. They should have the right to get married and do everything else straight people can do. Why can't they be married? Why can't they have the same rights that straight people enjoy? Y'all say all lives matter, but yet you don't show any outrage towards ICE for how they treat immigrant children in those detention centers. Yeah, first thing I'll say, oh, well, they should have came over here legally. Yeah, yes, they should have came over here legally, but they're still human, motherfucker. They're still human. You don't just throw people in cages and treat them like a damn dog. Like, I don't care if they're illegal or not. You treat them humanely. You treat them with respect. Give them water. Give them food. Don't just leave them in there to die. Y'all say all lives matter, but yet you're not willing to help out refugees escaping from Syria or other war-torn countries. So yes, pardon me for saying that you're fake when you say that all lives matter. I mean, if I offend you, too bad. Yeah, I agree. All lives do matter, but if you're not willing to help out, if you're not willing to help somebody else in need, if you're not willing to show your support to somebody who doesn't look like you, then you don't believe that. And look, I'm not saying you have to go out there and protest, but if you're just saying all lives matter because you don't want people saying Black Lives Matter, then you don't mean it. You're telling me that I don't care about what's going on in your life. I don't care what goes on if it don't affect my life directly. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, it's even if you've never been harassed by the police brutality should bother you. I mean, you should want to show your support to Black Lives Matter. And yeah, don't give me that shit about I'm tired of them rioting and looting. Yeah, you're concentrating on the wrong thing. Yes, I don't agree with rioting and looting, but I understand why they would do so. I mean, Black people for centuries have tried peacefully protesting, but our words just fall on deaf ears. I mean, it shouldn't take riots and looting to get y'all to listen, but even then, y'all still don't listen. And if you do listen, you listen just to react and to defend, not to actually understand. So yes, until Breonna Taylor gets the justice that she deserves, until George Floyd gets justice, Rashard Brooks gets justice, until everybody, whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, whatever, any and everybody who has fallen victim to police brutality, until they get their justice, I will continue to support the Black Lives Matter movement. If y'all don't like that, oh well. All right, y'all. Be on the lookout for my next podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. I'm Deshaun, and I'm out.